There's a moment, right before the alarm clock rings, right before the world remembers your name, when it's just you and the silence. And in that silence, there's a question echoing louder than any applause you've ever received. Will you command yourself today, or be commanded? Not by a boss, not by a stranger, but by the voice inside, the one that says, "You've done enough. You're too old. You've earned the right to stop." It's a tempting voice. It speaks in the language of comfort. It sounds like kindness, but it kills like rust. This is not a speech about becoming famous. This is not about success by the world's definition. This is about mastery, the quiet kind, the invisible kind, the kind that no one sees, but that no one can take away. Because one day, your hands will grow weak, your body will slow, but your spirit can still stand like a mountain. This is not about proving anything to anyone else. This is about proving something to yourself, that you still have the strength to rise, that you still have the fire to choose the harder path, that even now, especially now, you will not live at the mercy of your fears. So I ask you, before we begin, will you master yourself or be mastered? We spend a lifetime preparing for battles we think will come from the outside. We train for job interviews. We argue our way through relationships. We save for storms we can't predict. But the battle that breaks most people is the one they never see coming. It's not cancer. It's not bankruptcy. It's not betrayal. It's the quiet decay of the soul, that slow erosion of belief. That moment when you wake up and can no longer find purpose in your own reflection. I remember a friend, Paul, Vietnam vet, steel in his handshake, but sadness in his eyes. He once told me, "I didn't fall apart on the battlefield. I fell apart in my living room 20 years later, when I had no one left to fight but myself." His words stuck with me, because so many people lose their fire after the war, after the career ends, after the kids leave. They wake up in a quiet house and realize the real enemy is not the world. It's the voice in your head that whispers, "You're done." But that voice is a liar. That voice is not your truth. It's your test. And if you can face it, if you can look in the mirror and say, "Not today," then you've already won the first battle. Because the enemy was never out there, not in your boss, not in your ex, not even in your illness. It was always inside. And now you know where to aim. The moment you understand the enemy is within, the battlefield changes. Suddenly, it's not about who wronged you, not about what went wrong. It's about how you respond when no one's watching. Because let's be honest, most people don't lose because they're weak. They lose because they hand over control to whatever emotion hits them first. Anger, fear, doubt, resentment. These aren't just feelings, they're choices. And the mind is a wild horse. Left unchecked, it will trample your peace, pull you into places you swore you'd never return to. But trained, it becomes the vehicle that carries you through fire. I once knew a woman named Linda, mid-50s, divorced, recovering alcoholic. She used to drink to numb the pain of her past, until the night her daughter called from a jail cell. She told me, "That was my moment, my battlefield. I could collapse in guilt, or I could control the one thing left that hadn't broken, my mind." She began waking at 5 a.m., meditating, walking, journaling, fighting, not with fists, but with awareness. She won not because life got easier, but because she got stronger, and that's what control is, not perfection, but awareness, discipline, refusal to be pulled under by waves that no longer serve you. Because here's the truth. If you don't master your thoughts will master you. and a mind left unchecked is a kingdom surrendered. So ask yourself, who's truly in charge? Because collapse doesn't come with thunder. It comes with quiet choices, small surrenders, and the lie that you'll get back on track tomorrow. Don't wait. Take the reins. Today. Now. Before the horse runs wild, there's a dangerous lie we're all sold. That comfort is the goal. That once we retire, once the kids are grown, once the house is paid off, then we can finally relax. But comfort, if we're not careful, becomes a cage. A soft, padded cell, warm, familiar, and slowly suffocating. It starts subtly, sleeping in an extra hour, skipping that walk, postponing that checkup, telling yourself you've earned the rest, and maybe you have. But here's the truth no one wants to hear. Comfort kills more dreams than failure ever will. It dulls the edge, softens the resolve, and convinces you that strength is no longer necessary. I met Tom at a local gym. He was 62, former corporate executive, had it all, money, status, and an easy life. But he was angry, not at the world, at himself. He said, "Momo, the more I had, the less I was. I stopped trying, stopped pushing, and I started disappearing." He wasn't talking about death. He was talking about erosion, of will, of meaning, of the fire that once defined him. So he started small. 10 push-ups, 1 chapter of a book, a cold shower, each act, an act of rebellion against ease, because mastery doesn't come wrapped in fleece blankets and take-out meals. It's forged in resistance. Comfort says, you're fine, just as you are. But your soul knows better. It craves challenge. It thrives in discomfort. It remembers who you were before life got too easy. So the question isn't, have you earned rest? The question is the rest helping you rise or making you disappear? You weren't built for ease. You were built for fire. You were built to climb. And every time you choose what's hard, you remind the world you're still here, and you're still dangerous. At some point, the noise fades. The kids stop calling as often. The office doesn't need you anymore. The invitations slow to a trickle. And one day, you realize you're alone. And it hurts. Not because you can't handle solitude, but because no one ever told you that loneliness could be holy. We're taught to fear it, to fill it with television, scrolling, shopping, distractions, anything but silence, because silence is where the questions live, and some of them are hard to face. But here's what I've learned. Loneliness is not a punishment. It's a forge. It's where the noise stops and the truth begins. It's where the warrior is born, not under spotlights, not in applause, but in the early mornings when no one is watching. There's a woman named Evelyn. She lost her husband at 58, married 30 years. Her world collapsed quietly, no fanfare, just a pair of shoes by the door that would never move again. Everyone expected her to wither, but she didn't. She began taking long walks alone. She started learning Spanish. She planted a garden in her backyard, and in that silence, she rebuilt. She told me once, I thought I needed someone to save me, but in the quiet, I realized I was the only one who could. That's the truth most people avoid. No one's coming, but maybe that's not a curse. Maybe that's freedom, because when no one's watching, you stop performing, and when the world turns away, you finally turn inward. The fire you build there is the one that never dies. So if you're alone right now, don't fill the space too quickly. Don't numb it. Sit in it. Listen. And begin forging. Because warriors aren't made in crowds. They're made in the silence no one celebrates. We talk about strength like it's a gift. Like some people are just born with it. but real strength, the kind that endures grief, setbacks, aging, failure, is not gifted. It's trained. And the tool of that training is discipline, not motivation, not passion, not even purpose, because all of those fade when the day gets hard. Discipline stays. Discipline is brushing your teeth when no one's around, stretching your aching body even when it begs for rest, choosing the cold over the comfort, the silence over the noise, the walk over the nap. It's small, it's unglamorous, it's quiet, but it is the only sword that doesn't rust. I met Greg at 5 a.m., 5 days a week. He was 65, had 2 knee surgeries, arthritis, and a mountain of excuses available, but he chose a different weapon. Routine, discipline, 10 minutes of movement, 10 minutes of reading, cold water on his face, every single morning. And when I asked him why, he didn't say, to live longer. He said, to not decay while I'm still breathing. That hit me, because most people don't die when their heart stops. They die the day they stop choosing what's hard. Discipline is not punishment. It's love for your future self. It's choosing to sharpen your edge even when no one's coming to test it. It's the hammer in your own hand, the voice that whispers, again, even when you failed yesterday, especially when you failed yesterday. So ask yourself, what do you do when no one is looking? Because that, not your resume, not your followers, not your medals, that is your legacy. Rust comes for all of us, but some of us, we polish our steel every day. Here's the truth most people avoid until it's too late. You will die, not in some poetic, metaphorical sense, not just someday, but for real. Your breath will stop. Your name will fade. Everything you own will belong to someone else, or to no one at all. And that truth, it's not a curse. It's your compass. Because once you stop running from death, you start running toward life. It clarifies, sharpens, cuts through the noise. Suddenly the petty arguments don't matter. The missed promotion doesn't sting. What matters is what's real. I remember a man named Daryl, stage 4 cancer. He told me once, I wasted 30 years chasing comfort, respect, applause. But now, every morning I wake up, I win. Even if all I do is sip coffee in the sun, I win. He didn't fear death. He feared not having lived, and that's the tragedy of modern life. We live like we'll never die, and die having never truly lived. But the warrior walks with death like an old friend, not in sadness, but in awareness. He lets it shape his choices, filter his words, refine his time. Because when you walk with death beside you, you waste less time being angry. You forgive faster. You say, I love you more. You climb the mountain, not because you have time, but because you know you don't. So no, this isn't about being morbid. It's about being awake. And when the end finally comes, as it will, you won't be found begging for one more day. You'll be standing, ready, grateful, because you lived with your eyes open. Death is not your enemy. It's your reminder. To love harder, to risk more, to live deeper. We've been sold a finish line, a moment when we make it, when we arrive, when the world claps, the music swells, and we finally get to rest. But that moment, it doesn't exist. There's no parade for the quiet choices, no trophy for getting up early, no standing ovation for not yelling back when you had every right to. Mastery isn't a moment. It's a path with no end, no audience, no applause. Only footprints behind you and breath in your chest. It's not built on excitement. It's built on returning to the practice, to the discipline, to the deeper reason behind it all. There's a man I see every morning at the park, Bill, mid-70s. Rain or shine, he's walking the trail. Same pace, same path, for years. One day I asked him, "Why keep doing it?" And he smiled and said, "Because it's not about walking far, it's about not stopping. That's the essence of mastery. It's not about one grand act. It's about the thousands of quiet acts no one sees, no one rewards, but that you do anyway, because it shapes who you are. Most people get tired when they don't get recognized, but the master, he moves in silence, because he knows applause fades, but character doesn't. So stop waiting for validation. Stop chasing arrival. Fall in love with the walk, because when the world grows quiet and the path stretches long ahead, you'll realize you're not lost. You're exactly where you belong, on the path, still walking, still sharpening, still choosing, and that is enough. When the day begins, before the sun has touched your window, a question is already waiting for you. Not from the world, not from your job, not from your family, from yourself. Will I rise today, or will I fold? Will I show up for myself, or make excuses again? Will I sharpen the blade, or let it rust another day? And the truth is, no one can answer that for you. Not your spouse, not your therapist, not your heroes, because the last duel, the only duel that matters, happens inside. And it happens every day. It's in the food you choose, the words you speak, the thoughts you allow, the promises you keep to yourself when no one's watching. You don't need more time. You don't need more motivation. You don't need permission. You just need to choose. Choose to get back up. Choose to walk when it hurts. Choose to forgive what broke you. Choose to try again, even with shaking hands, because no one is coming to save you, but no one is stopping you either, and that is your power. So tomorrow, when your eyes open, don't look for comfort. Don't look for applause. Don't look for ease. Look for the edge, the fire, the next step. Because mastery isn't about having all the answers. It's about showing up to the duel again and again and again until you are no longer afraid of the fight. So here's the last question I'll leave you with. Will you master yourself today, or be mastered? The choice is yours, and it always has been.